So, Dragon Quest II. We've gotten through it. What do you think of Dragon Quest II? What's the legacy? What's your opinion on the game?
Okay, you said it was frequently hailed as the black sheep of the series, and I just think that's unfair.
Hmm.
I think that this game is still a kind of like the stepping stone to future Dragon Quest that we would see. We see that even just in the very ending there. Um, but to say that this is the worst Dragon Quest game just because nobody talks about it, or just because it wasn't popular then, really undersells how great and improved the experience is here from the first game. I would actually look at this and argue that it's a stronger game than Dragon Warrior 1. What do you think about that?
I would definitely think it's a stronger game than Dragon Warrior. Absolutely. Um, I when we say that it's the worst game of the Dragon Quest series. Um, I think, well, for one, I think of it in two ways. One of the ways is it's the worst game of a series that we love.
And I just want to clarify, it's not necessarily that you or I is saying this is the single worst game of the series. Maybe you're saying that. I'm
I
not
do
saying that.
say that.
Okay.
I do say that, but it's the worst game of a series that we love. So
How do
it's
you say
like,
this is worse than Dragon Quest 1?
um, I, okay. So from a purely mechanical perspective, it's
Okay.
definitely better than Dragon Quest One. Like
Okay.
if you're looking for like the Dragon Quest experience, Dragon Quest Two has much more of that experience than one does, and
Okay.
in better form. But when you look at it from like a historical perspective, because like
Uh,
honestly, one through three, honestly, like as much as I like three and I'm excited to play it, those are like old games,
yeah.
and people might hate on that the concept of it, but I don't really like playing old games if I have the choice. I would love for them to get remade into like a new engine and everything, and that would be awesome. But in general, they're old games. So if I'm gonna go back to play one, two, and three, it's really honestly more of a historical journey than be like, oh, this is interesting. This is how they made it back then, and this is how they did this, and this is where this started. And from that perspective, Dragon Quest is a little more interesting. Like
The first one.
yeah, to see like, oh, here's their original thought of what the
Yeah.
series is, and here's their original thought of this. And Dragon Quest Two is like it's almost equally as interesting, but it's like here's where they tried to fix it, and some of it is like, ugh, this isn't the way they should do it, and they changed it later because it was bad here.
Yeah.
And so from a historical perspective, I think that's where people say one is probably technically better in a way than two.
I can see that. And I see that as like kind of an identity thing. You think of like it's funny these Dragon Quest games have these huge subtitles. Like we didn't even talk about the one for this game. The what is it? The Luminary of the
It was given that later, right? Luminaries of the Legendary Line. I think that it
Okay.
is given that like because it originally was just Dragon Quest two.
Okay. Yeah. But we create our own kind of subtitles for these. Like Dragon Quest 1 is the original RPG.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 2 is what? The clusterfuck?
the the quicker fixer upper.
The Cave of Roan Plus.
Yeah.
And so, like, while there are improvements, for sure, I happen to love like I think the storytelling was done way better in this game than it
Mhm.
was in the first one.
And that there is
Um,
storytelling.
the fact that there is storytelling at all, yeah, exactly. Um, some things were just made worse in the process. Like the progression system is like it's in the first game. It's probably manageable. Like I think you could manage playing the first game at the time without the guide. This one, not a chance in hell. You need that guide.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced you could play this game without that guide.
Um, it would be tough. It would be very, very tough. They wanted to jam pack it with a lot more stuff, and I applaud that. But they didn't have the experience or the technical know-how to achieve making that actually work. And
Hmm.
so instead, you just had to hit A against that tree.
Dude, I'd
which
have given up.
which yeah.
I wouldn't have even known to use the Eye of Malroth to make the barnacles disappear around the Cave of Roan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just don't
There's
know.
so many moments I would never figured out. I wouldn't have figured out even the dog leading me to go pick up the gold key from the patch of grass.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. And that's the thing about these old games is that, and that's another reason I just don't like playing them that much. Like from a fun perspective, is
Hmm.
that they're too antiquated in a lot of that. Like they didn't have an answer for that, so it's pretty much just like a follow the guide kind of thing. If I don't want to spend like 50 hours trying to beat it.
Yeah. But if I can overlook that, if I
Yeah,
can overlook the aspect of needing a guide to play it, there's so much substance here. This is the fight against Satan. This is the fight against the Bat Demon Lord. This is the fight for the legacy of the Erdrick line.
mm-hmm.
You know, he even fights with his family. The main characters are his cousins, even if they do suck. This is the fight of humanity against evil. So, like, I hesitate to say that this is worse than Dragon Quest One. I think it is it's a better, messier package.
That's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, yeah. That is a very good way to sum it up. It's not as simple, for better or for worse.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You do have a more engaging everything, combat, narrative, overworld. Um, it's just not intuitive.